so much wealth, such great resources. Those resources have been squandered in many ways under the Mugabe era. It's been tragic to see for anyone who loves this country. I was speaking to one of my friends here who's lived here for many years, a Zimbabwean who cried, couldn't stop crying when she saw the crowds marching through this city yesterday, because it was such a turning point, such a pivotal moment in the history of this country, and that really the genie is out of the bottle. After those scenes yesterday, nothing in Zimbabwe can be the same again. I don't think any potential dictator or would-be dictator could get away with the kind of rule that Robert Mugabe exercised for so long.
And yet he did, bring about a very highly educated population, and whoever comes next has got a potential huge reserve, really, to transform the economy there.
Yeah, that's right, and a lot of people would point to some of the early achievements of Mugabe's rule, education, healthcare and so on, but I think most of those who've analysed his rule would say that, during the 37 years, things deteriorated badly, and that now at 93 he's simply incapable of good, strong leadership anymore. Critics just have long wanted him to go, of course. He has been an incredible survivor in this country, and it's amazing that he is still president. He is the world's oldest living head of state, but finally now he has been stripped of the party leadership. That is only the first stage of the process in trying to remove him, because they still have to get rid of him as president of this country, and the only way that can really happen, unless he resigns it, unless he goes voluntarily, is for Parliament, just down there behind me, to impeach him. And they could impeach him on various grounds: that he is, they believe, unable to carry on as president, or willful misconduct in office. There are various different categories of the Constitution, grounds under which he could be impeached. And it seems likely that if he doesn't agree to go today as president, then that's what will happen. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, impeachment proceedings will begin. And we don't know how long that would take, how long that process might be, but I think it would be fast-tracked, so that he's probably only got a few days at best as technically still president of this country.
Ben, thanks very much indeed. Ben Brown there, live in Harare. Well, I'm joined now on the line by Alex Magaziza, former advisor to Morgan Tsvangirai, the leader of Zimbabwe's opposition movement for democratic change. What's your reaction to the events today?
Well, this is not unexpected. ZANU-PF has already shown that they no longer want Mugabe as president. But this makes his presidency untenable. He cannot possibly continue as president, because he will not be able to run government. There are two specific consequences that will affect him. Number one, he will not be able to maintain or form a cabinet, because he must have a majority of persons who are elected parliamentarians. And number two, he will struggle to pass legislation, including the budget. And if he's unable to do that, then Parliament would have to be dissolved and there would have to be elections. So effectively, Mr. Mugabe's days are numbered.
Are you clear what will come next if he is finally forced out of the presidency?
Well, it is not clear at the moment. I assume that those who are behind the current processes have got sufficient plans as to what they would like to do afterwards. But it is quite clear to me that Mr. Mugabe's presidency is no longer tenable.
Any chance of a unity government in your view, very quickly?
This is quite possible. It seems that the opposition parties and part of ZANU-PF, they are working together, and they've been in agreement as to the fact that Mr. Mugabe must go.
But you are waiting for that moment. Is your expectation that he will step down today, or is it really difficult to say?
Well, Mr. Mugabe doesn't have a choice, but he is a stubborn man. He might refuse to step down until the very final moment.
And do you know what pressures are being put on him? What are the, are there situations that are being offered to him and his family for whether they stay in Zimbabwe or leave to a third country?
Well, I'm not aware of the specific details, but naturally the issues that have been discussed are regarding his security, the security of his family, and of course what happens to him after he leaves the presidency.
Do you know what the potential options are, though? For example, would you expect Mr. Mugabe and his family to stay within the country?
I believe that Mr. Mugabe would like to stay within the country. I believe that those in ZANU-PF have been offering him an opportunity to step down with some dignity and be able to continue with his life. The fact that he has been continuing to be stubborn and to refuse to take these offers, I think, will make his situation more difficult, and it might result in a situation where he might have to leave the country.
We're told that Grace Mugabe has been thrown out, expelled from ZANU-PF. Are they both personally in different positions? Is it possible for her to stay in the country safely, do you think?
Well, you know what, she created a lot of enemies during the time that she was the chairperson of the Women's League, the secretary of the Women's League, and she was very aggressive. She also had so many challenges with people in different parts of the society, including private, business people, and this will make her life very, very difficult in the aftermath of her husband losing his presidency.
Now, ZANU-PF has itself voted to replace Mr. Mugabe with the ousted former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Would he have your support if he was to become interim president?
Well, this is really up to ZANU-PF. It looks like ZANU-PF has always had this plan that Mr. Mnangagwa should replace Mr. Mugabe. It's a power struggle within ZANU-PF itself. My view is that Zimbabwe needs to prepare a way to have democratic elections, at least within a reasonable period of time.
And what period of time are you talking about?
Well, given the situation that has happened and the crisis that we are going through, it seems to me that there will be a need to have perhaps at least a year to try and fix the various aspects that are needed in order to create a democratic election. At the moment, we were going to go into an election in July this year, July or August, but a lot of people did not have much hope because they were fearful of the conditions under which those elections were going to be held. I think Zimbabwe will need to make sure that the conditions are sorted out in a manner that is conducive to holding a credible election.
So Robert Mugabe has been forced out as party leader. We should stress to people who are just joining us that he is still president of the country, at least in name. How big a moment is this for the country?
Well, absolutely. We now have essentially a constitutional crisis because while the firing of Mr. Mugabe as ZANU-PF president does not affect his position as national president, it also results in a position where he is unable to run government. As I have already pointed out in my first comment, that he will struggle to maintain a cabinet or to form a cabinet. He is only allowed to appoint up to 5 members from outside parliament that he can appoint into cabinet. And if he has lost the parliamentary party, it also means that he cannot pass legislation. This makes life very, very difficult for him. And if he had any dignity, he would hand in his resignation. But as I said, he's a stubborn man and he will try to fight.
Alex Magaza, you are working with the opposition, MDC, of course. Was there an awareness that this coup was being planned in recent days, weeks or months even?
I'm not aware of any specific discussions that would have taken place between the MDC leadership and the faction of ZANU-PF that is now effectively in charge. But it is clear from the positions that have been taken by the opposition parties that they are in agreement that Mr. Mugabe must go, and that the position being taken by the MDC, as I have noted, is that there should be a transitional arrangement that should be put in place after Mr. Mugabe is gone in order to fix the economy, in order to fix the democratic space, and to ensure that the country starts off on a good foot.
Just very, very briefly, you're expecting this to unfold peacefully as it has until now?
Well, I do hope so. We have had struggles in the past. We have had challenges in the past. I do hope that Zimbabwe is able to continue on the peaceful path that they've taken so far. Yesterday, we had a huge mass protest in Harare. They were very peaceful. That was very positive, and I hope that that continues.